meeting from July 12th, 2023. Does anybody?
Regular meeting of July 12th.
Second. Item number 4A, superintendent's report.
Okay, hi, everybody. So this is report the data for the plant for the period of July 2023. And I kind of had a request to do more of a summary than to just kind of drone on about each individual number. So I'm going to highlight the importance of these things. And if anybody's got any questions, please just ask. So just going through this list here on page 1. Our average daily flow, 1.9 million gallons. Our design is 4 million gallons, so everything's good there. We did reach a peak flow of 6.8 during a rain event, but that did quickly subside. Our influent BOD, which is biochemical oxygen demand, the concentration you can see there is 253, and that's significantly higher than what our design calls for at 165, but we're handling it well at this time. Influent TSS, so what's coming into the plant for total suspended solids, that's at 460 milligrams per liter, which you can see also is significantly higher than our design of 160. Total nitrogen, influent total nitrogen coming into the plant, right around our design of 35, we're at 39 milligrams per liter concentration, and our TKN is a little bit higher than design at 37.2. Loadings, now this is the pounds per day, the actual pounds per day that's coming into the plant of all these. Biochemical oxygen demand, we're at 4,009, so we're okay there. Influent suspended solids, real high, 7,289 pounds per day, but again, we're handling it very well. Influent TKN, that's total Keldol nitrogen, that's at 589, that's well within our design parameters. Influent total nitrogen at 618, also well within our design parameters. So as far as compliance, so how well are we removing all of this? We're doing a very, very good job these days. Our effluent total nitrogen, we brought that down to 7.35 milligrams per liter. Our design specs list 6. We're still higher than the design, but we're significantly better than we've been. We are making improvements like every day. Our effluent VOD, so this is going out of the plant to the river. We were at 19 milligrams per liter concentration. That's much lower than our permit limit of 30. So we did an excellent job there. Effluent TSS, the solids, the total solids going out to the river were down below our permit limit at 25. Again, that limit is 30, so we did a great job there. And we have to remove at least 85% of our BOD and our TSS. That's what our permit states, and we remove much better than that at 92% and 95%. So the plant is actually performing very well at this time. As far as nitrogen, it is still above our permit limit of 106 at 123 pounds per day, but that has come down. Exceptionally. We were over 400 pounds when I began here a few months ago, and we were able to bring this down to 123. And right now we're looking at 45 to 55 pounds per day for the month of August so far. So even the month of August is even better. So every month we get a little better. And this is all just by design. The bugs, the microbiology that does all of the work, it takes time to cultivate them properly. It takes sometimes 2 to 3 months for them to grow, for us to grow the correct bugs. And right now we've got them, and we intend to keep them in the system. I added a few lines here that are new. I just wanted to give a better picture of our sludge removal, because that was a hot topic for our budget. And for our truck hauling, we had a lot of trucks and a lot of expense associated with that for last fiscal year. So I just wanted to highlight, we do remove, we removed almost 99,000 pounds of sludge for the month of July. But because we run a rotary drum thickener, we thicken that sludge up. So that's 49 tons of sludge that we needed to remove, but because we thickened it, we were able to thicken it down to 6.9 tons. So we brought it from 49 down to about 7 tons, and that's the portion that's trucked out. So that rotary drum thickener that we're running does a tremendous job, and it's an important aspect of our process, and we were able to save the city a lot of money by running that piece of equipment. And we are running our entire plant for 4 sequencing batch reactors are online.
Quick question. The equipment you use in the thicken the sludge, was that always there
Yes,
at the plant?
correct. Yep. Our staffing, it's pretty much the same, except we are now, down Ed Deptula, who did retire officially August 2nd. So we do have 3 interviews for, positions, for operator positions happening tomorrow and Friday. We have 2 positions in our budget that were unfilled, and then Ed Deptula's position being the 3rd operator position to fill. So we do have 3 interviewees coming in tomorrow and Friday. As far as safety, no accidents, no first aid cases. Safety training did not happen in the month of July. We really only had 2 employees the whole month, so running the plant with 2 employees made it challenging. But we have something on the docket for August, and we might even do 2 training sessions if we can squeeze them in. Our chemical consumables, our polymer is about 100 gallons for the month. Sodium hydroxide, 40 gallons for the month. Neutralize, 15 gallons. Foam free, 130, and our sodium hydroxide, which is our chlorine, was exact 4,318 gallons for the month of July. No noise complaints, no odor complaints. The next page, we just have our grease removal. We removed grease just at Beard Sawmill for 300 pounds. We just don't have the personnel right now to go out to our pump stations. Like I said, I only have 3 total employees, and at any given time, 1 person may be out on vacation or out sick, and we really try not to put 1 person by themselves out on pump stations. It's a safety issue. And then our maintenance, we do our regular weekly sequencing batch reactor maintenance, bar screen and band screen. We lube and check those, clean our filters, we lubricate our pumps, our grit collection system, our plant water system, and everything having to do with the rotary drum thickener. That's actually done more on a daily basis. And corrective maintenance, you can see here, we repaired the defoamer peristaltic pump. We wired in a new 4 to 20 milliamp signal for the emergency auto sampler. We removed the heat detectors from the blower building, which was okayed by the fire marshal. We kept getting high heat in our building because the Neuros blowers just generated an enormous amount of heat, and there were heat detectors in there, and every afternoon and evening, there were fire alarms blaring down at the treatment plant, and they were very unnecessary, so we did have those removed. And plant water pump number 1 was taken out for rebuild, and we cleaned all the motor vents on the band screen, and cleaned 1 for thermal overload that was tripping out. And right now we're just we're waiting on some employees. We've got a lot of work scheduled, but we'll get some bodies, we'll get a lot more work done. And that concludes my report. And then I was just asked to do a quick little session, like just a few minutes, 3-4 minutes, just to kind of a wastewater 101, maybe a little bit every month, just to kind of get everybody acquainted with some of the things that we do. We have a lot of lingo and a lot of acronyms for things, and I think sometimes it's confusing for people who don't see it every day. So I just wanted to pick a little topic and go with it really quickly. So today I just wanted to pick the general wastewater topic. We always talk about flows and wastewater, but I just want to reiterate that water isn't the only thing that we're treating. Actually, it is 99.9% of what comes to the plant, but that 0.1% of the toilet paper and the eggshells and the and pieces of, coffee grinds and any other things that get flushed down a toilet or put down a drain, grease and the biochemical oxygen demand component, the ammonia component, all of those things still have to be treated, and we are required to remove all of them before it goes to the river. So we've got the water coming in and we treat that, but we also have to take out the other components, and that's where our sludge dewatering comes into play. We need some sludge in our system, and we do a lot of it in our system, but we also can't have too much or the plant doesn't work properly either. So we remove the excess, keep what we need. And I just wanted to highlight that, it's just not water coming to the plant. We've got water and we've got a whole bunch of other things, and we do a great job at separating all of that with bar screens and grit separators and skimming and all of these different processes, and they all have different equipment that we maintain, and that's just all part of the big picture. So that was just a very general, basic thing to start us off, and then next month, I think the topic we'll talk about is nitrogen and how that plays into our system and how we remove that. And if anybody has any questions, just let me know.
How many applicants are you interviewing? So
So
we have 3 open positions.
we do, and 3 applicants.
Oh, okay,
It just
okay,
worked out that way, yes.
okay.
Thank you, guys.
Next item on the agenda is 4B budget worksheet. I assume everybody got the 2024. Which is really only a month of expenditures, so. Expenditures are only approximately 423,000. Out of a budget of 3,500,000, so. And then also, actually, did everybody get the preliminary? Okay. The only comment I make on a preliminary budget report for 2023 is I just found some figures here that just don't jive, so it's not even, doesn't make sense to even to review it. First item alone is $100,000 short, so I don't understand. We had a budget of 775 and we expended 600,000, and they only show a budget of 77,000 left, which has been true. It's supposed to be actually 177,000. So it's just, there's quite a few figures that just don't jive. It doesn't make sense even reviewing it.
Somewhere there, I think we need money to,
Yeah, but if I understand that there's nothing wrong moving money around into other accounts, but it's got to. You have to adjust one figure or another, either the original budget amount or the expenditures, either one. Because it just doesn't make sense.
which items were those for?
Well, the first item,
First one.
yeah, the first item is, if you run the math, you're $100,000 short on the balance. But if there were transfers between one account to another, there has to be some type of an accounting adjustment, so. Unless I'm reading this wrong, but it's.
That's the number.
That's right.
Yeah.
And there's a few others, like you take line, I don't know. Last 4 digits, 30-10. It shows a negative of 52, and it's a negative $1,052. So it's something's not right. There's quite a few that are just,
It's interesting that they're all up by 1,000 and something. You know,
Second one's
1,000.
off by 20 grand, 30 grand.
well, right, exactly. That's another one. The second one's off. It's even more than that. It's off by, 29,000, $920. So there's something wrong. There's no point in even reviewing the report. Next item on the agenda is 5A, the WPCA pump station upgrades. Which,
Okay, so this is coming up under old business.
it's old business.
We did bring it up last month. And I just want to say that we listened to your concerns, from the board. And, we tried to reach out to other SCADA vendors. And they won't even quote us on something like this unless they do a study first, and the studies are $20,000 to $30,000. Just to understand our system. And then once they understand our system, they can quote us. So the cost is gonna be much higher because of the study. And then also it will delay the project, of course, significantly. Aaron Associates is already familiar with our system and they wouldn't have to charge us to do the study. So we just wanted to bring that back up because we did make, the attempt, we did speak with, Fuss and O'Neill, and they, gave us the same, they said, well, you have to do a study to understand the system. Somebody can't just quote you on a project that big without coming in and learning about every aspect of it. So just wanted to bring that back to the board for consideration.
You remember what Aaron's price was?
Do we still have that with us?
I don't have last month's information.
May.
How critical is,
This again was to update the controls at all of our pump stations, which are
Right.
very, very outdated. And we cannot get parts for them anymore,
Right.
which is our biggest concern. So if something goes down, we don't have,
We're not in a good spot.
we're not in a good spot, right? We could be in a real tough situation. I don't have last month's.
okay, so then what? Why don't we readjust this back in the next meeting in September? And this way here we can gather the information that we had from before and at least make a decision then on whether we go with Aaron or,
I don't want to say.
because I could see,
I don't know before, but I could be wrong. It's
I have,
something like that.
I have Ashley can look it up in the minutes, the last week.
Yeah, please.
Look at the minutes, the last week.
Oh, yeah,
Should
it should be in the minutes of the
Oh,
last
is it-
meeting, that's
is it-
right. That's what I was looking for.
That's been this month. Back.
yeah.
That's right.
Alright.
Thank you.
So page. Where you go? The minutes.
Minutes in the meeting.
Yeah, we're looking for
Hey, thank you.
I guess looking for a dollar cost value, getting help to vote on.
Right,
Well, unfortunately, there's no dollars mentioned in this report that I see.
no, so it was, 60,681 to do the first station, and then it would be less for the others, because once they have the design
Right.
exact for that first station, the others would come in at 43,281.
Okay, so it's about 100, 105,000.
4 stations at 43,281 and 1 station at 60,681.
So what's the math work out?
It's about 105,000. And the studies is approximately 20 to
It's not fun. That was Joe.
Really, the new one.
I don't even. There we go. June. Here's the date. Oh, there you go.
From when?
Oh, that's from last July to the end of June. That's the fiscal year, June 30th. And that's probably not 100% either, because they usually, when they do the audit, they make changes to that. That's just an approximation so far. When the auditors do the audit, that'll change. Well, as far as the old business, okay, it's a question of whether the city expends $20,000 to $30,000 to do a study in order for all the other companies to submit a bid on the controls for the pump station upgrades. Well, my recommendation is that we revisit this in September and make a final decision then. Now, the question too is, obviously, no one knows what's gonna happen in the future, but have you had major problems with the controls in the past 3, 4, 5 months?
No,
They must have had that failure. A month after you were here.
no. Can you refresh my memory, our memory on that?
Yeah.
Yes.
All been locked out.
It
But that was last year.
No, it was for a couple months.
was like my first month here. I wasn't really involved. That's why Garrett's got to speak of it, please.
April or May.
Yeah, I mean, I started April, so it was one of those things that was happening right off the get-go,
Right,
pretty
yeah.
much. Okay, but I don't remember the details of it.
Well, it just cracked, almost cracked. We had to get it down there to uncrash it, wherever they could for it.
And that was Aaron that came down
Yeah.
and
How do you run a pump station if you crash? By hand. They stand there and turn the button, switch, watch the level, stereo, stuff.
I mean, is this something that been put out for the bid or even just give it out?
Aaron has a state contracted bid number, which allows you to proceed going out the bid, saving you money that way. And you're a long time vendor of our system. It's like the heart of the plant. You're talking about this because it's the brain of the plant,
right, no, I understand.
and it's gonna tie into the plant. So it's
From the
already,
other- Right,
already intermingled, pull it apart. I mean, nobody's gonna do a study with a chance they might get the bid.
right, no,
You know, I mean.
Garrett, no, I understand, nobody's,
With the heart of the
right,
I don't care about pump, anybody can do a pump.
right,
You're talking, it's taken them years, Matt had tested this, even still today, years to figure out all the stuff that we've had and how it works. And they've taken over stuff that wasn't theirs, it took them years to figure it all out. It's like if you go to your heart doctor for 30 years, he tells you need a heart valve, just don't, you trust the guy, well, we trust Aaron. It's the heart of the man, that's all
I do want to point out, like, Eric's the guy you call in the middle of the night when there's a problem.
right,
Any part of your collection system involving computers, and you can, over the phone, he can give directions on how to like keep things running until his team can respond. If you disrupt that relationship and say, let's do $20,000 to $25,000 study, and then maybe somebody comes in and they're $5,000 cheaper. But after the study, they're not, but they do that, then the next time you have a problem at the pump station, Aaron's gonna say, you have to call them, because I
Right.
don't know what to put in there.
right,
It's just it's that relationship you can have with him for 20+ years. He's your on-call skater guy.
Yeah.
Yes,
absolutely, I agree.
and on lesser situations, I mean, I've had to call Aaron at crazy hours, and there's always somebody that responds, not pump station specific, but still SCADA specific, at the plant. And I've had, thankfully, we have that good relationship, and I was able to call and get somebody immediately to walk me through things over the phone when I've had issues, more minor issues, but it's just that same level of service.
Well, one thing is when you're dealing, yes, with a proprietary vendor, I think we should, number one, check with purchasing if we are allowed to do that,
I mean, I know for a fact we are, I've gone through this already,
you know.
state bid contractors, if they have that state bid contractor number. Don't need to go out to bid, you use them at will, we do it with the window pump and valve, same thing. Because they're a state bid contractor, they have that state number, supersedes city's bidding, and just use that company, we use them all the time.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments? My recommendation is that we would check with purchasing, and if they give us the okay, then it'll come to the board for next September, and we can vote on it then. I know it's playing Russian roulette because something can happen 30 minutes from now.
Now, then what happens? I'd be curious to find out. Like, what happens if we don't get this, like, Garrett, like, and tomorrow we have a crash or the next day?
So right now,
Well,
tomorrow we have a crash. We will be calling Aaron and they will be, you know,
Right,
Bill us by the hour?
oh, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And then it would have to be an emergency
but
situation.
right now, it's still the vendor, the city of Shelton. It's just a question now on the upgrades for the other, what's it, 5 stations, 5 pump stations, that we're rebuilding the systems.
Okay, so our action item here is to check this with purchasing.
Purchasing
Bring it back to you for
in
next month.
September, yes.
We can do that.
The next item is Huntington Village, 30 Ripton Road.
Jim Swift is on for that.
Yep. Good evening, gentlemen. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, John.
Okay, in short, this is a project that's located just behind the Huntington Congregational Church on Church Street. I assume you have the drawings before you. If you have the capability to share screen, I could do that, but we could do just as well with your drawings laid out on the conference table.
Item 6A, Jim, they have a folder.
Okay.
Item 6.
Well, okay, so looking at the first sheet 1, you can see that this is a revision of a planned development district project that got approved some years ago. And the multifamily units that were in that development were found to be, nobody wanted to build them. They thought that the site work was too expensive. So Roy Wells and company stepped in and made an offer to the church to do 8 single-family lots, as you see on that first sheet. That offer, of course, was accepted, and here we are. So what we're proposing is a connection of 8 single-family homes to the Shelton sewer system. This project requires no extension of the city sewer mains. So there's no burden on the WPCA to maintain any additional lines. What happens is if you look on the next sheet, you'll see that the sewer proposed for this project connects to an existing sewer in the Congregational Church property. And of course, that sewer in the Congregational Church property is a private sewer. So we will be extending a private sanitary sewer line. And it won't get to the city of Shelton owned and maintained sewer system until it hits Church Street. So in that regard, it's fairly simple, straightforward for this commission, as there's no extension of the city mains. And also, since there's no extension of the city mains, there's no possibility of extending to additional areas. So this is sort of the end of the line for this proposed sanitary sewer system. Again, all private, 8 single-family houses to be determined under engineered site plans submitted to the Planning and Zoning Department. So if the commission has any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Has this been approved by planning and zoning?
Roy, remind me, I believe it has. I believe, yes. As a matter of fact, I do. We have the approval letter from planning and zoning. So yes, it is approved by planning and zoning.
But I believe we have a format that we're supposed to, I don't have the form in front of me, unfortunately.
So
Yeah.
we recently went to an online permitting system called Urban Medical. So there is a printout of the application there as well as the community approval letter and plans. They just might just be the.
Oh,
Five, the fair, the first part of it.
okay. So
Okay,
that-
it does say applicant has written approval from Queens.
Yeah.
The letter is the one that is more.
They've only got approval from the P&Z.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's an old.
Okay, so actually this takes in place of the written form that they used to have to fill out before.
I'm going to format it so it looks a little more like the old form that I do right now.
Okay. Well, I believe the procedure in place was that Weston Sampson would review this plan and make any recommendations, any requirements or whatever before we can actually approve it.
Yeah, that's typically how it's been over the last 10 or 15 years.
Right. Right. So at this point, we can accept the application for review by Weston and Sampson for the recommendations, or if they find any deficiencies or whatever, before we can actually approve it.
Jim, this is a mastermind sitting in the back here. What I could do is I could send you an email tomorrow. And we can kind of tell you what the lump sum fee for the review would be, and then your client would reimburse the city WPCA for it, and then we charge the WPCA.
Right, yeah, yep, standard procedure, yes.
We need a motion to accept.
Well, that's exactly, I was just gonna say. Would somebody make a motion to accept this application for review by Weston and Sampson for their recommendations?
So move for that application to be reviewed by our consultant.
Second,
Next second.
Mr. Pace seconds it, Commissioner Pace. All in favor?
Aye.
Any disapprovals? Any no nays?
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 6B, Weston and Sampson status report for an amendment to the agreement of engineering services.
I'll stand right here. Really quickly, what this is it establishes our budgets for this fiscal year. We're providing just general on-call support for the WPCA. And then we have a line item to provide general on-call support for the wastewater treatment plant. And then over the course of the 12 months, as you asked me to do things, either help with meetings or get an industrial sewer connection application, things like that, it comes from that budget. Instead of having me come back for all these little incidental things.
Right. Thank you. Now, this hasn't been done previously in any years since we signed the contract. And this is the first time you're putting budget numbers ahead of time.
Previously, we would do it, an email authorization through the previous sewer administrator,
Okay,
but, I think we all felt that it was easier just to have a paper trail.
just, okay.
Yeah. This is
So
all-
basically, you're setting up a $60,000. You got two line items here for $30,000 each between the WPCA and the wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah. Yeah, last year's, I think our number was actually 36,000, the general and WPCA engineering support. We weren't doing much with, treatment plant support. We didn't have a budget for that at that time. This year's a little different, having Danielle there. We've been just providing as needed assistance or technical advice.
Well, what line item would that come out of?
Historically, this has been paid by the sinking fund for the last,
Oh, was it just, okay,
since 2011.
yeah, okay. Now, was it? Did Michael, more or less start this process or start this? Or does he?
I did ask him about this, and I asked him, hey, does it make sense to just have do it like previous years, or just do an email authorization, or should we have it written out? He said the preference is The preference moving forward at this point is to have it written out.
Right now, and then
It's just straightforward, now that you also have the facility planning work on the bus and deal,
right,
you have us, what's what, you have us and Sampson, it helps keep track of numbers.
okay. Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, in essence, you're developing two line items on the sinking fund, and you're just gonna bill against whatever, and it keeps it better. And a quicker, response time,
Nothing else changes,
right,
still get the monthly invoice with
right,
the itemized hour by hour with the description, what we did. Billing rates don't, like, in terms of amount of time you bill each month, that doesn't really change.
change, right. Okay, now, Daniel, you don't have a problem with the financials.
I don't, no, this looks good to me.
Okay. Would anybody like to make a motion to accept the amendment number one for the agreement on the engineering services by Weston and Sampson for fiscal year 23-24? Or does anybody else have any questions on it? Or concerns? Yes,
I'm very vague on it. I didn't pay enough attention to it, I should have this month. But, seeing who we've been working with and what's happened in previous years, I don't see a problem with it. Our director does, or Bill. I would certainly, go along with that, but as far as I'm concerned, I would move to accept the, not the application, but the packet that's, was submitted today by Weston and Sampson.
Don made a motion, second by anyone?
Eugene, I would second.
Say that again.
This is Eugene here. I will second. Like to
He
second.
seconded. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, 6B approved.
Hey, talk about one more thing before we go.
Oh, yes.
One of the items that kind of came up at the plant this morning is, you guys have carbonated groundwater. Is there any way we can share the screen with John or no? I'll show you the video. Basically, what's happening is your the air from your blowers that go out to your tanks is leaking out of your piping. Hey, John, you want to play that? See if you can see the bubbles. So these are just cracks in the ground. This is at the plant. This is at the plant. So it's air. And we kind of see a little crack. If you saw this thing live, all those little bubbles through the entire area around the blower building, it's all bubbling up. It's air bubbling up because it's all leaking out of the air piping that's buried. When we first noticed that problem a few years ago, it was a very small amount, maybe like you compare the air flow meter at the tank to what the blower said, or maybe like 5% or less.
Okay.
Now reportedly, we're up to about 30%,
Up to
Oh, yeah.
40%.
30 to 40% of air you're losing into the ground, which bubbles out.
Right,
That's pretty catastrophic. What's happening is, what we suspect is that the gaskets for the ductile iron pipe joints
right,
is a regular temperature gasket, not a high temperature gasket. So the air going to the tanks can be up to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. The regular temperature gasket's not really rated more than like 120,
Right.
140. So the gasket, what happens, the gaskets become brittle. Think of like an old rubber band,
Yeah.
and it just kind of like it plates apart.
Right.
So now all the air is just escaping from each of those joints for like an 8-inch pipe all the way out. So what we want to start doing is start the design to replace all that piping that's leaking. We really can't line the pipe because
That was gonna be my next question.
epoxy lining, generally can't stand 250-degree temperature.
Okay,
And then even if it could, it's such especially the part next to the entrance to the blower building, it's so many twists and turns and bends. You'd still have to dig it up at all the junctions to kind of make it all fit anyway.
right,
So the solution, I think. In addition to that, to fix that problem, you have to take half the plant down for like at least a week at a time to fix like one half of the piping and then do the other half.
right.
The better solution is to replace the piping. Like, and we're thinking of keeping it above ground, so it's accessible if there's ever a problem again, but use the proper gasket.
You know, you put a second system in more or less.
And then abandon the old one.
And then just do a tie-in afterwards.
Yeah, the tie-in we do at night.
Right.
Where is this located?
See,
So this is, do we have,
At the plant.
And this at the plant.
so we have a building that houses,
That could be in Mississippi, I can't tell what the hell.
I'll draw you a picture, because it's, this is 4, 3, these are the SBR tanks that stick out of the ground. Here's 1. This is the blower building. So right now there's a pipe that comes out each side. And it goes, this one goes like that. Then it comes here, this one goes here. So we saw the video, it was all bubbling, all this was bubbling, but then if you walk on the other side of the blower building, this all bubbles over here as well.
all the way 360 degrees around the building, you would see bubbles.
Between this wall and this building.
That's what-
Sidewalk right here,
So that's how we all done
all the pipe.
The better.
How deep is that?
This is
We don't,
that video, but not choppy.
couple feet, but we don't want to dig it up because
So what are you gonna do?
we have,
If you're gonna put it above ground line, exposed above ground. Doing the same layout, and then it'll just tie in
So
after.
we don't drive between the different plants down there on the asphalt?
we're gonna put about 14 feet in the air.
Oh, it's gonna be in the air?
Yeah, we're gonna.
This way we can maintain it in the future as well and not have to dig up anything.
The underground, you have 400, 3-phase 40-volt, like 1,500 amp service to that building. You don't want to hit that. You have electrical and control lines to each of those tanks. You can't hit any of those. Then you go deeper, there's things, you're kind of in a tight spot anyway, because
Right.
all the buildings are close together, but you really don't want to get it would all probably be hand dug. We don't want to, that'd be too expensive, it'd just be easier. to put
It's just,
The walkway is probably as big as this table widthwise.
Yeah,
You got a lot of room.
I don't care how you do it, I was just saying, I was wondering, if it all had to be dug up.
so instead of digging it up, just probably try to strap as much as we can to the side of the building on the outside. And then, couple pieces have to cross, like the alleyways to get to the tanks.
well, Matt, my suggestion would be then. Number one, we can't vote on that anyways, because it's. not on
No,
the
I just,
agenda.
this is a new situation,
Okay,
we'll have more next month.
yeah, I was just gonna,
Concept,
right, okay,
Yeah. So we'll start looking at it, but we're not gonna get into design until we talk about.
now what kind of pipe anyways we can use?
To replace it, I really like using, like, was it Schedule 10 stainless?
Okay,
That's what we use on the inside. You
okay,
don't need to insulate it, you don't need to paint it.
right,
It's on, it's a really good finished look to it.
yeah,
Ductile's just a heavy pipe.
well, I know, it's, yeah, no, it's, yeah.
So that's something that we're gonna work on, present more next month on.
Now, how are you? I'm not that familiar, but how you were able to determine how much percentage you're losing?
So we have a meter that shows the CFMs of air coming out of the blower,
Okay,
whatever blower is running is producing.
right,
And then we have a meter on how many SCFMs are being delivered to whatever tank is supposed to be
Oh,
accepting the air. And the difference between what it's pumping out and what it's receiving is
It's-
vastly
right,
different.
yeah.
Yes, and we calculated 30 to 40%
40%.
several times in the last 48 hours since that video was brought to my attention.
Is there a danger of that happening?
There's no danger that, I don't think there's a danger right now, not that we're aware of. The only thing is it's just extremely inefficient.
Inefficient.
First of all, we require, the air is required for delivering dissolved oxygen to the microbiology in the tanks, but also to accomplish mixing. There needs to be at least 2 milligrams per liter to 2.5 milligrams per liter of oxygen available to the microorganisms to cultivate the correct ones to do the job. And then it provides this mixing aspect. And when you're blowing out, 30-40% of your air into the grass, it's just extremely inefficient. These blowers suck up a lot of energy. So the cost to run those blowers is very
Right.
high. So we don't want to just be blowing that to the atmosphere.
Something bad that could happen, like, there is the potential to what we don't know is maybe it could cause a small sinkhole. But the scarier thought is that, without a sinkhole, some of that soil is actually getting into the pipe and then blowing into your aeration diffusers, gets trapped there, and you'll never be able to get that out. That's not something that's cleanable. So yeah, that's probably the worst thing that could happen, would just do that.
Thank you.
Now, this has been getting getting worse progressively, or I mean,
Yeah.
you said at one time it was like 5%.
Yeah, we noticed it and we looked at the numbers and said, oh, that's interesting. And then since then, it just kind of fell off everyone's radar. And then Danielle noticed it again with their staff. And then they looked at the numbers again and be like, what was it then? Because that's not what it is now. And then suddenly now it's concerning. Start fixing the ball.
Okay, yeah.
Just pave over it really well.
Yeah,
Some
right,
cracks.
exactly.
So if you cut this off, you're not gonna have to excavate down and cut it off. You can cut it off above and then.
Yeah.
And then the pipe you just leave in the ground, obviously.
Yeah.
And how far do you have to bridge from one to the other? About
The biggest one would be probably from the long side of the building to the 3 tanks lined up in a row along the property line. That what's that distance there? 15, 20
15 feet, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe 8 or 15,
15.
I would say from me to that wall.
That's all right. Not insurmountable.
Okay, the next agenda item is the sewer administrator's report.
Just give you a little heads up what we've been doing since June and July. So we cambered about 11,300 feet of sewer main, just to check out, to locate some possible grease problems or some buildups in it. We really didn't find too much, but I haven't gotten the videos back yet. So once I get them back, I'll know a lot more. And then we also jetted like 3,500 feet of sewer mains and sucked out a couple of manholes that had grease and debris, grit. So we've been looking. About it.
Speaking of grease, on your report, Danielle, I know you have a shortage of workers and so forth, but some of the plants, there were zero values What happens with the grease that is collected?
What happens with the grease that is?
Yeah,
Here, what is our usual protocol for grease disposal? We're just gathering it in bags and
Garbage bags,
just
yeah.
garbage bags and just taking that to the landfill. dump. Yeah,
How come it's doubled in the last couple of months?
there has been different staffing doing it. I don't know, they each have their own way of doing it. Why is it doubled in the last bunch of months? Is it because of the frequency or the way it's done? I don't think we've actually doubled the amount of grease buildup, do you? It's hard to say.
Yeah.
I don't really have an answer for that.
They skipped a few months, but the following month, they have double the amount.
yeah.
That's what it looked like to me.
I mean, we're not seeing anything egregious at any of the pump stations, would you say that like out of the ordinary?
Not.
No, I haven't had any reports of anything like way out of the ordinary, you know, way more grease. It's probably, it's more of a product of how often it's being done. And, you know, who's doing the weighing, because it, you know, it's not like we bring a scale with us either.
Right.
It's more of like, you gather it in a garbage bag and you really have to kind of do your best guess estimate. You don't truly have a great way of weighing it, so everybody estimates a little differently.
Okay, next item on the agenda is number 8, the financial statement. Does anyone have any comments on it? Just based upon this report, basically, we have about $2,500,000 in the sinking fund.
Just a point of order, no one asked to make public participation.
Oh,
When you add, before you call for the adjournment.
okay.
By the way, so thanks for filling in.
Okay, no comments on the financial report. Okay, at this time, is there any public participation regarding?
Well, this is Button O'Neill. We just didn't have him under the new business.
Oh,
So it's, I don't know how you want to approach this. I just realized that.
Yeah, we had I just found out I traded some text with Mike for an accident, so
yeah,
kind of things got jumbled up, I think, yeah, effectively. Well, we had a meeting last week and with Mike and with the staff and talked about that facilities plan a little bit, and Mike had asked if we could come tonight and share some of that with you. All preliminary, so I don't know, it's up to you if you want us to just table it, or if we want to give you 10 minutes right now and whatever your preference is.
my thought at this point, I would say the table, and I'll tell you why, because and I've been saying this for as many years as I've been on the board or whatever. You know, Mike DeAngelis has 30 years experience on this board. He probably knows more about what's going on than anyone else on the board. And I think it's beneficial if he's, you know, involved to hear it firsthand himself. He has a better understanding. Sure. And I just, you know, I appreciate you coming today, you know, it's unfortunately, you know, Mike couldn't be here for reasons beyond his control.
Absolutely,
You know, but I would appreciate it, you know, next month,
Okay.
you know, it's, if that's okay, I know it's an inconvenience for you,
No,
Yeah.
we probably would be back anyway next month.
okay,
This will be a discussion that'll probably take, a couple of meetings easily, as we kind of discuss what the project will look like.
that's my opinion, I don't know what the other board members feel, if they have. Okay. Don, do you have a problem with that?
No, I was gonna say, I'd like to have him give it tonight because he came all the way down here, but the point is with, Mike, he's worked much more with Mike than any of us.
Right,
And I don't think it's, as long as he doesn't mind, I think it'd be better if he does.
Yeah.
When Mike was here.
Larry,
No, I think, Mike has been here.
Eugene? You still on?
I'm good on my end, thank you.
Yeah, I would just feel,
No, that's totally, I understand.
okay.
I was surprised I walked in and didn't see Mike too myself.
Yeah, well, well, yeah, I know, I think he's out of, I don't know if he's still in the hospital.
Yeah, he's still in the hospital.
He's still in the hospital, okay, because he was supposedly, okay.
This is Mike.
Yeah, Mike D'Angelis, yeah, well, he's a bike rider,
Like, right, yeah.
yeah.
You know, motorcycle, bicycle.
No, mountain bike, and he was out in California. And he unfortunately had an accident. I don't know exactly what happened, but I guess he has a couple broken ribs. His lung was punctured. And I guess Bill said he's still in the hospital. He called
There or here?
No, out in
Out there.
California. Yeah, and, I don't know how long it's gonna be.
He was hoping to get out Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, but the problem is, you gotta fly back.
I don't know how you can fly back.
Yeah, you get the pressure in the plane or whatever, that's gotta cause a lot of, drive, to take a train back. I mean, it's just,
I guess he's got family out there. that he's
Yeah, his
staying
brother's
with or
out there,
something, Yeah.
right, yeah, so that's why I told him, I said, stay out there for 2 weeks with your brother, I mean, I rush back.
And he's not 20 years old, he's in the bounce back.
Exactly. And you can do everything remotely anyway, so it doesn't make any difference.
Okay, so that's great. Well, we can let someone, if you want, I can give you my card, at least you know.
Yeah, I'd appreciate
Your guy
that,
was
yes.
here.
I'm sorry for that, for the inconvenience,
It's like, trying to deal them like that card with. Playing cards, they're going to be good.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'll go down here. There you go. And. You got it, yeah, Peter. That's just.
Hey, we're
I'll
okay.
give you another one.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
okay,
Okay, so then we'll just connect with Bill and.
okay,
We'll see you guys next month.
okay,
Sorry about that.
thank you. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Uh,
Any nays?